Hello everyone, welcome back to Orchestra Tube. This is the video on how to tune your viola. Now, viola and viola are similar, but there are slight differences, so I wanted to make a video specifically for viola and talk about some do's and don'ts of tuning. Okay, so the main thing is you really have to have really good solid posture and setup with your viola so that you're nice and tall. I would recommend standing while you are tuning, because that way you can have some really good control over the instrument. You can make sure that you're not bending over, hunching over, and then not getting a good sound to judge your tuning with. So the first thing that you want to learn how to do, I call this twizzling. So you take your left hand, bring it around, and you want to grab your tuners. We're going to start with our A tuner, which is your very first one, which is going to be different from violin. So you're going to start with the very first tuner. Now, I don't have 4 tuners on this instrument, but you probably do as a student. Okay, so you're going to grab that very first tuner, and you want to remember righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So the right one is the one that feels the most uncomfortable to do, okay? A lot of times people like going lefty-loosey because it feels really good, and that's just the easy way to turn the tuner. Now, if you've got tuners that are super difficult and they're really hard to tune, you can grab with your other hand and get a little bit more leverage, but you don't want to turn too much without listening. So it's a fine line from tuning, turning, what I mean, your tuning, fine tuner, and listening. So we're not just going to be cranking on it, and we're not just going to be sitting on that tone. We have to do a combination of listening and adjusting, listening and adjusting. So one of the things you can do is get a tuning app, or you can get one of those little clip-on ones. I don't have one for my instrument, but the tuning app does a similar thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to either do it 2 ways. You can have it play a tone and match pitch. So I'll do that one first. Listening and then tuning. Listening, then tuning. Now I like a tuning tone to be at the tip. Turn that off. I like the tuning tone to be at the tip. And nice and soft. Okay, so you can go back and forth, but we don't want a really loud sound, okay? So that's the first thing. And then as you're listening, you want to go righty-tighty or lefty-loosey. And fine-tune it really, really well. You only have a 50-50 shot, so pick one or the other. If it gets worse, go the other way, okay? Now, if that's a little tricky for you, go ahead and put it on the tuner side of the app, and what you want is your moving line to line up with the 0 or some middle line that tells you that you're right on the target. So let's see where mine is. So I'm about 4 cents flat, so I'm going to go righty-tighty and make it go higher. Till I get that line moving really right dead in the middle. Okay, now you can go through all of those strings and then go through and check D and G, then C. Okay, now we tune on the viola in that order. So you start with your A string and then you move down. I also like to tell my students to go back and recheck everything, because when you make an adjustment on the lower side of the peg box, sometimes your upper strings change. So you do have to go back and fix that. Okay, so what to do? Well, let me do a quick thing on double stop tuning really quickly. With double stop tuning, this is a little bit more advanced, but you're going to tune that A string, get that perfect, and then you're going to play A and D together, and you're going to listen for what we call the beats. So what we're listening for is that wah, 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 wah sound, and we want to make that go away. So let me see if I hear it. So if I heard it, I would grab my D tuner and I would adjust. I don't have a D tuner, I have to use pegs, but fortunately it's pretty good. So let me go down to the next string, 2 strings. Well, I definitely hear a beat there. So what I would do if I had a tuner there is I would go righty-tighty and I would go up higher. I'm going to use my pegs. This is a little bit more advanced. I don't expect students to do this, but since I don't have a tuner, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make those beats go away. Listening, I'm going to go down first and then up. So hopefully you could hear that. It's a little easier to hear those beats on a viola than it is a violin. I'll be doing that on the next video, and that's a little more challenging. But now we've got those in tune. I'm going to play the C and the G. Ironically, my C string was in very good shape, so I'm not going to bother with that, okay? But let's just do a really quick how-to on what to do if you open your case and your string is pretty loose. What you want to do is at this point, you want to grab hold of the instrument. Either you can put it between your knees if you're seated, sit down. I don't have a chair right now, but you could sit and put it between your knees. And you pluck. You can either do a couple of things. You can have your tuner going and watch that. Okay, so my G is a little flat compared to just for the tuner. So for fun, I'm just going to like loosen it and show you what to do. Always with your pegs, you have one hand holding the instrument or your knees holding it, and the other is going to get on that peg. You always go down first. So you want to turn towards you and then bring the pitch up slowly. So I'm going to go down, and now I'm going to watch that pitch. Oh, I overshot that. Well, that's pretty good. And so that's how you would do it if you had to use the pegs. The main thing about the pegs is that there's no glue in here. It's just friction. Okay? So you want to make sure that as you're turning, when you're going up, you're going to push in and turn. So it's not just up, it's in and up. So in and up, okay? And I'm going to take my C string, I'll lower it. And I'm going to push in, holding with the other side of my hand over here and pushing on the instrument, and I'm going to hold that and push in on that peg while I'm turning. And that's it. So it does take a little bit more practice. I've had a lot more practice than you, so keep at it and just be very careful. If you're careful, you're not going to break a string, okay? But if you go too far and you really just can't find it, loosen it, go all the way down, and start again. That's the easiest thing. If you get into a really big problem, give me an email. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video.